Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's another episode of LMTV, and today we're actually doing one with Interop, and we have a special guest today, Andrew, someone who you already met, Andrew Conry-Murray. We just call him Drew.
Yeah,
Morning,
that's fine.
Drew.
How you doing, Denny?
Good, good. Oh, I forgot to ask you to put up your name banner, but it's too late now. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce Tim and come back to you.
Sure. I'm Drew Conry-Murray. I am the Director of Content and Community for Interop, and it's a pleasure to be back on the show with you guys.
And today we're gonna talk about the show that's coming up in about 15, 20 days, right?
Yeah, about I guess we're 3 weeks out now.
3 weeks out. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And good afternoon, Tim.
Hello, how are y'all today?
You look so good with some LED light on your face.
I used to try to hide it, but it usually scares small children and women, so I don't mind now.
So very quickly, let's go back to Drew. And so Drew, is this going to be a big show like it always is? How many people are you expecting?
I think we're projecting around 12,000 folks. So yeah, it's a good size show.
Yeah. And how many vendors this time?
I think we were saying about 300 exhibitors.
And is it going to be in Mandalay Bay like it always does, or?
Yeah, we're still doing Mandalay Bay, which is a really nice venue.
Wow. So just kind of give us an overview then. Is it a conference? Is it a convention? And I'm sure there's like one or two guys out there who had never heard of Interop, so let's just talk to them in case they just want to figure out what Interop is, and then we'll get into the meat of things.
Yeah, sure. So it's a 5-day show. Starts Monday, April 27th, and goes through Friday, May 1st. It's designed for the IT professional, so it's all about IT. It's got a show floor with exhibitors showing off their latest stuff. We have keynotes, and then we have educational workshops and sessions that run all through the week. And we cover a variety of topics from networking to security to SDN to applications. And one of our newest additions is a leadership track. So specifically focused on if you're in IT and you want to get ahead in your organization, rise through the ranks, we've got programs to help you build your leadership skills.
And how much of it is actually, I mean, a big part of it is free, right?
Yeah, if you get, we've got a variety of passes. The workshops and sessions you have to pay for because it's educational content. But if you get our free pass, then you get full access to the show floor. You can see all the vendors. You can come to see the keynotes, and we've got a few special events like some networking receptions and stuff, and free beer if you decide to just do the free pass.
And you have and there's also a vendors night, right, or something like that. Isn't there? We're kind of in the afternoon, or used to be, right? In the evening, where you just kind of visit vendors, and that's where you get free drinks as well.
That's one of the free receptions. Is the expo floor? I think around 5 o'clock, the vendors break out the beer and the snacks, and you can sort of go from booth to booth and say hi to folks and have a drink.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So if you get tired of the well, of course it's in Las Vegas, so there's that distraction.
Yeah.
And then, and then you walk the floor, and then that takes a couple of days if you actually want to do it. Your hands get really tired with all the stuff that they give out.
Yes.
What are you gonna do? Now then, but you really want to talk about some of the educational stuff, right?
Yeah, I'd love to, and a couple of these things are new. So one, I think I sent you a link earlier for the Virtual Design Masters.
Yeah. Okay. So let me put it up. That's right. So.
So Virtual Design Master, it's a contest. It was started by some folks in Canada who run a VMUG, so a VMware user group. But it's just a contest they decided to put together. Folks come in and essentially just put together a network on the fly. It's obviously a virtual network, so it's a challenge, a design challenge. They'll give you some parameters and say, all right, using these parameters, build me a network. And folks will make teams and have a contest to see who can build the best network using these parameters in the challenge. So that's something we're trying new this year, and that's also part of the free conference. If you have a free pass, you can participate.
So this is a whole day event, or is it just for afternoon?
It goes throughout the conference. So challenges will be held throughout the week, and we've got a list of when they're going to be scheduled online.
Oh, okay. Okay, so every day you can go. Every day you can walk into the booth and sign up for it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. Yeah, they'll have a booth on the show floor.
Okay. Where it says time from 3 p.m. to 3 p.m., I guess you don't mean that.
Oh, I guess that's a typo we have to fix.
What does it mean? What do you want it? What is it?
Sorry?
What is it supposed to be?
The virtual design master?
No, where it says time. Instead of 3 p.m. to 3 p.m., what is it supposed to be? Just in
Oh,
case.
I think it's probably 3 p.m. to 4 p.m.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get that typo fixed.
All right. And so it's not so in that sense it's not just for Tuesday then, it's all through the week, right?
Right.
That need to be fixed too. Okay.
Yeah, it runs all through the week.
Okay. Let me just kind of roll down and see what else. Oh, there he is. Okay, so there's an agenda. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yep, we got a whole
So
agenda.
so Tuesday, there's something going on Tuesday from 4 to 5, something going on Wednesday from 1 to 2, and then something going on Thursday from 1 to 2. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just an opportunity for networking folks to have a little fun, show off their skills, and we have a fun little contest out of it.
And that's free as well?
Yeah, that's free.
So if you can get into the show floor, you can get into this.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
You can also even get an introduction into SDN, which we still haven't formed any real good standards for, but people are going to have to eventually learn how to use software-defined networking, and they got a great class going on there.
Yeah, that's one of the other things that we have going on for free. As part of, last time I was on the show, we talked about InteropNet. That's the production network that gets built from the ground up every year. It provides all the connectivity for attendees and exhibitors at the show. And one of the things the InteropNet folks decided to do this year is create an SDN lab. So we invited a bunch of vendors in, essentially gave them a rack, said put some equipment in it, and demo your stuff, your applications, your networking capabilities. So that's also out on the show floor. You can come by and see demonstrations. You can get classes. So it's an opportunity if you're trying to brush up on SDN or get a sense of the concepts and how it works. This is a great opportunity. And that is also included with the free pass.
Is it located near the NOC so people can kind of visit along
Yes.
with visiting the NOC? So it'll be very clear, right? So if they go towards that plexiglass thing, then
Yes.
that's where they would see it, right?
Yeah, it's associated with the InteropNet. So if you go over to the NOC on the show floor, then the SDN labs will be there.
Okay.
I think one of the cool ones that I see is the one that Mike Panaki is going to do on 11 things you can do when you get back to the office to improve network performance. That's going to be a great one.
Yeah, that's a workshop. Mike has been teaching classes for us. The workshops happen on Monday and Tuesday. That's part of the paid conference. You have to buy a ticket for that. In fact, that workshop you just mentioned, 11 things you can do to improve network performance, is oversubscribed, so we had to add another day. It's going to be happening now on Monday and Tuesday because so many people signed up for that.
Yeah, well, see, Mike, I've known Mike for a long time, and I think he's probably one of the best network-focused, at least one of the top 5 network-focused instructors. And he's also doing one on deep packet inspection with Wireshark, which is something that everybody needs to learn how to do, is actually look at packets and dig down deep into it, because packets are the only thing you have in a network that don't lie to you.
Right. Packets don't lie.
That's right.
Yeah, Mike.
The one that started that.
Mike is one of our top instructors every year. He's ranked very highly. So if you're looking to bone up on network performance or Wireshark, then this is the time to do it.
Yeah. And Keith Parsons is also a really good one. He's going to do the next gen WAN, WLAN, excuse me.
Yeah, Keith Parsons is doing a wireless networking workshop for us.
I've known him for a long time, and you got some really great ones in here. Some I've never met, but many of them that are really high level, high capability. And the great thing about learning a little bit about SDN is people right now are very confused. Is SDN a VM type environment? Is it a hybrid environment, or is it all, a dedicated hardware device? And of course, hackers want to know too, because if I'm a hacker and you got a controller which controls your entire network, I want that control, because once I have that, you're completely out of the picture. I own you. And I think that's one of the biggest concerns, because even Black Hat, which you guys also sponsor.
Right.
Yeah. They did several tests which proved how non-robust protection was yet in that environment, because it's an it's an open source technology, the fundamentals.
Some are, yeah. Some are proprietary, but yes, when you're dealing with a controller environment, like we also have a lot of wireless networkings now run by controllers, if that's the key to the kingdom, then you got to protect it, because that's where the bad guys are going.
Yeah, they'll go right for it. Perfect target.
So I remember every year Interop sort of have a theme. So what's the theme this year?
I don't know if we explicitly laid out a theme this year, but I would say that the one that seems to be emerging is convergence. You're seeing networking, computing, storage all coming together, whether you're talking about in SDN or whether you're talking about in these hyper-converged stacks of sort of pre-integrated systems like you get with a VNC or a VMware Evo Rail. But also looking at automation, how people use tools like Puppet and Chef to automate servers. That's starting to bleed over into the network. There's a system called Ansible that's starting to gain some popularity for automating some network management stuff. Mm-hmm. So all this convergence, the way folks operate the network, it's starting to all come together. Mm-hmm. So I would say that's probably the theme that's just sort of emerged naturally.
Yeah. Well, I remember back in the days when I first heard of the word convergence was used by Cisco, and I think what they meant is just buy Cisco, don't ask questions.
Sure.
But that's probably not what you mean. Yeah.
That's not what I meant, but I think if you ask any of the big vendors, that would be their message. Yes. Yeah. Buy it all from us. But I think something else that comes through, and this gets back to Interop's roots too, as essentially a plug fest, is that the network is suddenly there's so much innovation happening now that the way the network is being designed, operated, managed is changing so much, and folks are recognizing how essential the network is to IT and to business, that the network is taking on this new importance, and there's a ton of innovation going on. So I think that's a sort of secondary theme for Interop this year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the network is back.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I brought up the second link that you sent over, which is the agenda.
Yeah, I sent over. We're trying something new this year called roundtables. So when in a traditional conference, you sort of walk into a classroom. There's somebody on a podium, and they're talking to you and showing you some slides, and you just kind of sit there and absorb information. These roundtables are something extra that we're doing, where instead of just you sit and listen to someone, we have one of our instructors facilitate a discussion. So you'll come into a room. It'll just be tables and chairs. The instructor has, just something to kick off a conversation. But the idea is that attendees get together and talk to each other about what they're doing, what their experiences are, what's going on.
Wow.
So it's more about interaction. It's more about sharing your own experiences and opinions, having a conversation like we're doing now, instead of just sitting there and listening to someone talk at you.
Mm-hmm. And that's on a Monday. That's actually before the show floor opens, right?
We're having roundtables Monday and Tuesday. I sent you the Monday link, but we have a Monday and Tuesday.
Okay.
And that's during we run our workshops, which are like half-day and full-day courses on Monday and Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Mike Panaki will be. So if you're coming to the workshops, I strongly advise you to check out the roundtables too, because it's a really nice way to meet your peers. It's a nice way to share your experiences, find out what everybody else is up to. And we're trying to talk about some things that you wouldn't normally necessarily talk about at a conference. One of the roundtable topics is on IT stress and burnout. And that's going to be facilitated by a guy named John Willis, who's pretty well known in the DevOps community, who posted a blog a couple months ago about a sort of slate of suicides in the industry that he noticed from folks who the pressures of being in the industry had become so much that there's a sense that there's some folks are having a real issue with the stress and the strain of.
Wow, you're right.
Being in a company.
That's something that we don't usually talk about in conferences, but it's real.
I think it's absolutely real, and particularly in a high-stress, high-stakes industry like IT, where the network goes down or an application fails. It's real money. It costs real business. So, and you see it informally on Twitter, complaining about another 80-hour week, or how they're in the knock over the weekend.
Well,
That takes a toll.
and it's not just the pressure from work; it's the erosion on your family.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And work, if that's a problem, right? Is that all of a sudden you just feel like you're being attacked on both sides, and well, anyway, that's a very serious topic.
Well, it's been a serious topic even since the internet started getting to, turning to the Wild Wild West. We've had suicides with children because of bullying. We've had people even get attacked by a crypto locker, and they don't, they feel like they've lost all control and commit suicide and actually murder in a couple of cases. Overall, the internet in a lot of places has really, the way we push people, and now with all the breaches going on, liability lawsuits, it has to, I was out there through the 90s and early 2000s, and I saw the pain, and they're supposed to know everything, and I don't know how they do it personally. I have lots of friends that are.
Well, I commend you, Drew, because it takes a lot of courage to bring that topic to the front. We as technologists, we tend to think that technology is neutral, right?
Yeah.
If to the extent that it causes harm, that's not the technology's fault. But you can't always say that. You can't always hide it. It takes a lot of courage to take that topic to a venue like the Interop. But
well, we certainly applaud John for being willing, John Willis, to be willing to facilitate this discussion, because for one, people feel uncomfortable expressing when they're going through something like this because it's so personal and private.
Yep.
Well, I mean, and that's the point, is that until someone actually make the effort to do it, everybody just assume that it's not a good thing to talk about. But when you actually do that, it's like the dam is broken, and now he says, let's do that. So quickly, just a quick summary to our audience who heard it for the first time. So if they're interested in this, when and where would this be?
This is going to be on Monday and Tuesday at Mandalay Bay during the workshops. It's actually happening during the lunch break at these roundtables.
Okay. All right.
And these are awesome events because, like you said, you get to talk to peers, and you get to share some of that pain. And 2015 being the year of the breach and all the new laws, almost every state in the union is putting together new legislation to require notification after breaches, more penalties, and now there's talk about network management liabilities, not just corporate liabilities. Okay. Because naturally the C-level wants to push it down to the action level, and that's not fair, of course. But
of course,
you ask anybody out there and say, well, I went to my boss and tried to buy a new SIM or a new firewall or some taps so I could actually see the data, and they didn't let me, so I couldn't see the breach. I don't know if you know that last year the average recognition time of a breach in the United States was 170 days, and in Europe it was 230 days. Can you imagine the frustration of someone who has put his heart, soul, life, and love into building a network to have it breached and not really be able to, and to feel responsible for it, which is not. They're not responsible, but, the corporation's responsible for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I always feel that being on the sales and marketing side of my last company, I always feel that the most powerful tool for engaging the customer is to let them feel that they're not alone, right? So you walk into someone's conference room, and most people would just kind of flip open the laptop and start talking about the product. You get to do that, and chances are your customer know quite a bit about your product already. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be in the conference room. You're not going to waste your time like that. But it turns out that a lot of times the times is better used to kind of convey to your customer that the problem that they have is not unique. That as a salesman, you actually have seen it, And so to give them a sense that they're not alone in this fight is a very powerful tool for making a sale. And so if you would extend that to Interop, that's really ultimately what a show like Interop is all about, is that you let your attendees know that they are not alone in this, right? That other people are looking at the same problem and trying to figure out a better solution. And I think this is a serious effort, and what we're doing here is we're opening up a new dimension.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the point of this roundtable sessions are to one of the benefits of a live event is that you can actually interact with people face to face. So we thought, let's try to find a way to facilitate that, make it a little bit easier instead of having to go up to a stranger and start a conversation. If you're in an environment that's trying to facilitate a discussion, it's a lot easier to open up and connect with people.
Yeah,
I think this is something to be great to write about after Interop. Maybe you can introduce us to the guy that's doing it, because I think it's an important issue.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Burnout is. I was reading an article on burnout the other day for network managers, both security, and there's so many segments. And I know that from my history in diagnostics, the most common event when there's a problem is everybody's pointing the finger at each other, not really trying to get to the truth of reality. And that's extremely stressful when you're in a company and you're trying to do your best. And I think it'd be something great if you wouldn't mind introducing us afterwards. We'd love to write an article about that and make that an ongoing community involvement.
I like to follow up on what Tim said and focus on what we can do after this show, because we had talked about creating this unique forum called LMTV Interop, and so we can talk about what else we can do right up to the show and what else we can do immediately after the show, and how we could do that, show after show. But before we do that, I want to give Drew a chance to kind of finish up with his agenda today. So is there anything else that you want to talk about? We're kind of coming up on the half-hour mark.
Yeah, sure. Real quickly, Tim, you had already talked a little bit about security, and I noticed a post that you did on your site. There was a survey about from Network Instruments, and it was like nearly a quarter of network teams are spending like 10 to 20 hours investigating security incidents. So we know security is a serious issue. Breaches are happening all the time. Funding is an issue, whatever. But one of the things that we're trying to do at Interop is help facilitate that discussion. So we've got a new program this year with Dark Reading, which is one of our media sites that covers security. They're doing a day-long course. They're calling it a cybersecurity crash course, and it's aimed at IT department leaders and executives to help them understand what are really the threats out there, what do I need to know, how can I talk intelligently about the threats, and what we need to do as an organization to try to start meeting them. So it's designed to help folks come back to their organizations and say, hey everybody, this is what the situation is, these are some steps we need to take.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's an acknowledgement that security is a serious issue. It affects the entire enterprise, and executives need to take some ownership and make security a cultural change and not just a discipline within the IT organization.
Not just a nice whisper in the boardroom. Yeah, we lock the doors now at night.
Right.
So our security is better.
Yeah, we all got antivirus. We're all set.
Now, security really is, in my humble opinion, one of the most demonstrative positions in a corporation. I've worked mainly in security now, both in forensics and in e-discovery, auditing and compliance, and help people. And it's frustrating because the minute you learn about one type of attack, there's 25 others. And just one statistic that's important is Japan, which is mostly NTT, had a statistic from their national organization that 25 billion, that's with the B, cyber attacks occurred in 2014 in Japanese network. Now, not all of those, of course, thank God, were not viable enough to break through. But I tell people now it's time for us to wake up and start looking who's knocking on our door and how they're trying to get in, as well as seeing if they get in. That's a little bit change in the metrics of traditional analysis and monitoring. But it's an imperative that we get proactive, see what's really going on, and prepare. If someone's trying to blast you with a DDoS, Put a strategy together. People are trying to hit you with floods or CCACs or port browsers or whatever. Start thinking about it. And then also, we need to start training our end users. We need to start making them understand.
Well, guys,
what
I think it's really important
Sorry.
that we try to keep this to less than half an hour, because I think this is the one where we really want people to watch it when they think. Otherwise, they push it to the weekend, and we don't want that. So I want to just quickly summarize the show. I think that I look forward to do more. All the way up to the show, and so our audience can come back and we label this LMTV Interop. So this is a joint venture between the Interop organizers and the company behind it, UPM. And the reason why we do that is I think there's a kinship between Tim and I and Drew in that we're not vendors. We're not here to try to sell you things.
Right.
We are here to really build the community. So Drew used the word plugfest, which is accurate in describing Interop. But more than that, Interop is a community, and as you can see today, that the management behind Interop is really doing the best to bring a lot more to the show, a lot more to this venue, to really find ways that would benefit the community members. Right, and so I think that I'm sure people. And the purpose of the show is not to convince people to go to Vegas. If you haven't made that decision, there might be a few, but I think most of the people already have made plan, and so this is really more. This particular show is really more about giving them a roadmap, right? Right, Drew?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and also, so just 3 minutes. What do you think we would be doing in the next 2-3 weeks? What possible things that we can help to kind of bring more visibility to the show that would fall under the LMTV Interop?
Sure. I'd love to. I'm going to reach out to John Willis and see if we can bring him on. I think that would be a great discussion to have. And there's a couple of folks from the InteropNet NOC team that I'd like to try to bring on.
I noticed that there are a lot of team members. I mean, a lot of times my experience is that a lot of times the individual contributors, the technologists, they're really busy all year long, and they're even more busy, coming going up to the show, but at least they're focused, right? Their mind is now focused on that. So to be able to get about 15 minutes from them is possible, and it would be very good.
Yeah,
it would be very good. Yeah. So look forward to that.
Yeah, I do too, and I appreciate the venue and the opportunity to connect with you guys and talk to folks in a wider audience.
And if you're listening out there, Mike Panaki, we're still waiting for you.
I'll call him.
Yeah, he would be a good guy too. I mean, there are things we can do all the way up to the show to kind of entice people to go to the conference. There are things that we can do immediately after the show to kind of give new perspective. And that would be a burst of energy for one show, and that gives us the kind of the blueprint that we can do it again for the New York. So you are still doing 2 shows in the States, right, Drew?
No, now we've just cut back to Las Vegas.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So last year's New York show was the last time for a little while, huh?
It was the last one, although we're now starting to put more effort. We have a London show, which follows the Las Vegas show, so we're starting to put more effort into that.
I see.
So we sacrificed New York to bolster.
When is the London show? When is the London show?
London is June, I think around the 16th. I have to look it up.
Okay.
Do you need we'll
I don't even know if I'm going to get to go. So.
Well, but we'll definitely do. We should do a show on that, because it's new. So we should definitely introduce people to that, and we have some writers. Paul Offord, for example, lives in London, so he can give us a perspective on that. Okay. So with that, I'm going to close the show, and I hope we did what you wanted to do. What you wanted to do today.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Half an hour, I tell you, man, passed by just like that, quickly. Okay.
It goes fast.
So we'll plan on doing more, and we're working hard behind the scenes. So with that, I'm going to close the show. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Drew, for coming by.
Thanks, Denny.
Thanks, Tim. Thank you, Tim, as always. Okay, bye-bye.
Hey.